Hello everyone, I'm Aarav Baloda. Terrifying, right? It's pneumono-ultramicroscopic silico-volcanoconiosis, one of the longest words in the English language. Most of you will probably look at it and think, I could never remember that. But what if I told you it's actually really quite simple if you just break it down? Let's take a look. Pneumono means lungs in ancient Greek. Think pneumonia. Ultra means extremely in Latin. Think ultraviolet. Microscopic means tiny looking in ancient Greek. Think microscope. Silico means silicon in Latin, obviously. Volcano means volcanic in Latin. Coni means dust in ancient Greek. And osis is a suffix for a disease or medical condition in ancient Greek. So, putting them all together, we get lungs extremely tiny looking silicon volcanic dust disease. Keep that in mind and take a look at this. What does the word mean? It's a lung disease caused by extremely tiny particles of volcanic silicon dust, which is the exact meaning of the word in the word itself. How interesting. So the next time you see it, you might actually remember what it means and perhaps even how to pronounce it. See, once you break it down, the scary and long medical term becomes somewhat clear and even kind of memorable. Today, I want to share how this idea, using etymology to break down words, can help us understand concepts better, remember them longer, and even make studying feel easier. We live in a world where knowledge is abundant, yet studying feels harder than ever. Students spend hours memorizing facts only to forget them the next day. We chase grades instead of understanding concepts deeply. And more often than not, we forget to ask the why behind what we're learning. Like, why are things the way they are? One powerful but often overlooked tool in learning is language itself, especially the roots of language, also known as its etymology. Now, most of you will probably think that etymology is something quirky or niche, something only language nerds might enjoy. But what if I told you that etymology can help you learn science, history, and even mathematics? Yes, but sadly, this tool is often overlooked in classrooms, rarely ever taught, and misunderstood by most. We think learning is about repetition. But what if learning was about connections? Let me tell you about a moment that changed how I learned languages, where I used connections. So I was studying Spanish, and I kept getting confused by this one word, gustar. It means to like. In English, we might say, I like apples. But in Spanish, it becomes, me gustan manzanas. Now, this is so confusing to me because word for word, that's translated as something like, me, they like apples, which is, you can see where I'm coming from. It's very strange. I kept thinking to myself, why isn't it simpler? Why isn't it a more direct translation? But that's when it suddenly clicked one day. I was sitting in my Spanish class, doodling in my notebook, when I realized the connection between the Spanish word gustar and the English word gusto, which means a pleasure or liking for something. So it wasn't really I like apples in Spanish. It was the apples please me. Where in English, I would perform the action on the apples. In Spanish, the apples would perform the action on me. That's so strange. That's so different. How unique. That moment, a tiny piece of etymology changed the entire structure of the language in my mind. It helped me understand not only Spanish, but how languages work, how they reflect thought, culture, and logic. And studying the language became less like rote memorization of random words and more like solving fun little puzzles. And I'm not the only one to realize etymology's importance. A 2024 research paper by Dr. Rajasekhar Gangavarapu, a renowned researcher, explored how etymology improves vocabulary retention. His study showed that learners who understood the origin of words were significantly more likely to remember and use them correctly. One powerful way that these learners improved their understanding of the origin of the words was by learning Latin and Greek roots. Around 50% of English vocabulary is derived from Latin and 25% is derived from ancient Greek. So much. So by understanding these root words, it can help us decode many unfamiliar terms. Not only that, it can help us understand the definitions of these words, as well as their synonyms and antonyms. Another study by the University of Oxford showed that students who studied Greek and Latin roots remembered 47% more vocabulary compared to those students who simply memorized definitions. I mean, just think about it. Would you remember photosynthesis if you knew that photos meant light and synthesis meant putting together? Complex scientific words can become learning shortcuts, such as homeostasis, where homeo means similar to and stasis means standing still, which subtly implies that it's a biological process where the body brings itself to equilibrium or a standstill. This isn't just trivia. It's cognitive scaffolding. It gives your mind hooks to hang on to. So, what can we do? We need to integrate etymology into our learning habits. So start with simple steps. When you see a new word, look up its etymology. Chances are you'll find a word that's related to it, which you already knew, and that will help you understand it and remember it better. When you come across complex scientific or mathematical terminology, break it down into its parts, the prefix, root, and suffix. This will help you not only find connections between other words, but also understand its meaning more deeply. Use apps and websites that teach vocabulary using etymology, such as vocabulary.roots.com, a free website that gamifies learning and teaches using quizzes, flashcards, and more. Scour your library and the internet for books and articles that teach using etymology. One good book to start with is Word Power Made Easy by Norman Lewis. Follow linguistics creators on social media that simplify these ideas. I personally love 4 creators on YouTube: The Etymology Nerd, Human 1011, Nardi, and Words at Work. Even just spending 5 minutes a day exploring word roots can create a ripple effect in how you think. And trust me, it's addictive in the best way. I've made this a part of my daily learning. Whether it's science, history, or a new language, I always stop and ask, where did this word come from? The answer often leads me to having a deeper understanding than any word bank or textbook could provide. So to all the students, teachers, and curious minds out there, don't ignore the words that you use every day. Each word hides a story, a pattern, a clue. It's a map of history, culture, and meaning. Language reveals hints about everything around us as it's woven into each part of our lives. To all the smart learners in this room, keep etymology by your side as a secret weapon. It won't just help you ace your next exam, it'll change the way you see the world. Think differently. Try something new. And if you found this idea helpful, spread it. Share it with your friend, your teacher, your siblings. Because behind every word, there's a world worth discovering. Thank you.